Hey YouTube, welcome back to Go For It Garage for part 2 of my T5 rebuild, and sort of part 2. In the first video you saw me tearing it down, kind of going through the case and taking out the main shaft. My footage of the actual rebuild I lost. Somehow it became corrupted and I couldn't recover it, but I like to say it wasn't that bad. I was very intimidated at first. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to do it, but like I said earlier in the other video, going through YouTube videos, forums online, different manuals, I felt confident it was something I can tackle. And it went pretty good. Like I said, the intimidation factor was the biggest part of it. Once you kind of get into it, it's very straightforward, and if you refer back to your videos or your manuals or books or forums, if you kind of go step by step and use those videos as a guide, this is definitely something you can tackle if you're mechanically inclined, or you do other things around the house or your car. Definitely a project you can tackle. There are a couple tools, specialty tools you need. Some you may already have. The big one is a shop press. There are a couple bearings that need to be pressed off and then press on the new ones. So that's probably the biggest expense. I went with a 12-ton Harbor Freight shop press that I reviewed and gave my impressions on in another video. I'll put a link to that down in the description. And that was, if you don't have one and you don't want to go buy one, you could take it somewhere to get those bearings pressed out and pressed back in, and even then you'll still be way ahead of a full rebuild cost. A couple other things that you need: a couple of pliers. There's a couple snap rings, a couple of circlips that you could try to get off with a regular needle nose plier, but chances are they'll go flying, and it's nice to have the right tool for the job. So these two pliers definitely made it easier to get those off. Another big thing with the T5 is setting up the end plate and shimming it correctly. And in order to know that what shims you need to use, you need to measure the play in the main shaft. Some videos show you online how to do it by touch. Others show you how to use a dial indicator, which is what I ended up using. Again, this is a dial indicator. I went with the one from Harbor Freight, which I believe was 40 bucks, thereabouts. There's other ones that are probably a lot nicer, but not nice enough for me to spend over 150 bucks on, especially for what I need it for. So this one was $40, and it did what I needed to do. And then once you find out the end plate on the main shaft, you then have to find the right shim, and your rebuild kit comes with different shims, and then you can use your micrometer to see what the actual shim size is, by 100 to thousandths of an inch, and then you put the appropriate shim in the transmission. This micrometer is from Harbor Freight. I believe it was $40. Home Depot also has one that's around $40. This is a digital one. You can get a analog, and Home Depot's wasn't in stock. Harbor Freight was, so that's why I went with the Harbor Freight. Didn't want to wait any longer to get this done. But very valuable tool to do the transmission. Will I ever use it again? Maybe, maybe not, but definitely needed it for this job. And like I said, the gears in this were in good shape. The case was in good shape. So all I needed was the rebuild kit, which includes new taper bearings, all the races bearings that you need for the transmission, synchros. There's, again, if your transmission ends up needing new gears, that's another expense. But like I said, this one was in pretty good shape in that regard. Just needing the rebuild of the bearings and the synchros. But definitely something doable. Again, it looks very intimidating, but it wasn't that bad. You know, just taking your time, step by step, referring back to the videos, to the manuals, to the books. You know, definitely doable. It's just taking things apart carefully and pretty much reassembling them in the opposite order. Um, but definitely feel like anyone that's mechanically inclined can tackle this. The real test will be when it goes back in the car and make sure it runs. But by all signs point to it being in good order. So, but after rebuilding it, I'm pretty confident it'll be fine. Um, Again, if you're on the fence about it, you know, and not sure if you could something you can do, I encourage you to, you know, do your research, go on YouTube, look at those other videos. Like I said, this is no way intended to be a how-to. It's just kind of an encouraging video. If you're on the fence, do your research. Go on YouTube. Paul Cangliosi, Junkyard Dog, has a very step-by-step, multi-part video series on the teardown and on the rebuild. And you know, Eric the Car Guy, you know, there's a bunch of videos out there. But definitely, again, I encourage you to give it a try. Like I said, I was told I needed a full-on rebuild or buying a rebuilt unit for over $2,000 thereabouts. All in with the tools, the shop press, I'm at a fraction of that. So definitely something worthwhile to attempt. You know, worst case scenario, you take it apart and you can't put it together, you can take it to a shop to put it back together. But I think if you go through the teardown, you'll be confident to put it back together. Again, remember, just give it a try and go for it. All right, thanks YouTube. We'll catch you later.